Hello and welcome to another episode of Money Talks, and today we're going to be talking about Twitter and Elon Musk's acquisition. Elon Musk is the infamous creator, founder, wealthy billionaire behind PayPal, and also he's created this sort of cool little car company, I think, which I think is really neat. I think they use electricity or something like that, which is great. To get into this episode, it's going to be broken down into three bits. How did Elon Musk acquire Twitter? And then what makes this acquisition unique? And that's what I find really interesting, because obviously acquisitions happen all the time. All of us are trading, buying and selling shares, but why is this acquisition a bit different? So before I get into how Elon bought Twitter, I just want to make clear that this is not going to be a video about the moral ethics of billionaires buying and owning platforms for free speech. I actually think that Russel Brand has already covered that really well in a video that he did that I'll link, like maybe here or here or here or here. I'm not really sure where I'll end up linking it, but it'll also be in the description. But what I found really neat in his video was how he highlighted the hypocrisy from journalists that were reporting it, that Elon Musk is this, big private capitalist that's trying to control free speech, when in reality he is buying it from hedge funds and Saudi princes and also, quite literally a Saudi prince is one of the controlling, leading shareholders. And then who else? Oh yeah, BlackRock. So I'm sure the Saudi prince and BlackRock, the current owners, love having big philosophical discussions about moral ethics on the platform. And one of the biggest articles written about condemning Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter was published in the Wall Street Journal, that is owned by famed free speech advocate Jeff Bezos. So I don't think there's a moral argument against a billionaire buying Twitter, unless there's, but it's too much to go into in this video. Let's just get straight into how Elon bought Twitter. So first of all, I need to make clear, I think, that there is a shareholder and there is the board. And quite often, so the shareholders are who own the company, the board are glorified employees that are hired to do one thing: get the maximum value for the shareholder. That's their whole role. And so they must do anything and everything in order to maximize value, and they'll be judged on their ability to make those decisions. But for this reason, being the best at maximizing value means having your own self-interest tied in with the interests of the company. And so for that reason, quite often shareholders are on the board of directors, or board of directors quite often have a fair chunk of shares in these really big companies. And so there's typically not a conflict of interest between what the board of directors want and what the shareholders want. For instance, Apple, Tim Cook owns a substantial portion of Apple, in that his shares offer him more of his salary than his actual salary does. Getting into the main bit of the episode, how Elon bought it, Elon Musk purchased 10% of the business. I'm rounding up, which for a company of this size is a lot. Being the individual, it makes him the individual with the largest position of shares. So there's Vanguard, but they're a hedge fund, so that's multiple people, that's an organization. And there's BlackRock, but they're also an organization, so they're not, you couldn't say that they're an individual. He is the largest shareholding individual. And then this would typically be enough to make you a CEO, or you'd have so much power that you could get onto the board and act like a CEO. However, the board clearly didn't want this, and so they attempted to act like they were inviting Elon Musk onto the board, but actually they were trying to control him from gaining more ownership of the company. And there was a disclaimer in his access to the board that would say that he couldn't own more than 15%. So Elon gaining, in response to this, Elon then put in an offer to own over 50% of the company. The offer to purchase was above the publicly traded price, which the shareholders just accepted yesterday, as I'm recording this. So, what makes this acquisition unique? So it sounds quite unique that one individual is buying such an enormous company, but it's not really that dramatic. Technically a bank is loaning him the money and he's got to pay back the bank. So what's unique is the fact that Elon had to go to these lengths to gain control of the company when he had such a large stake, and the decision making behind the board of directors. So in my opinion, everything interesting about this stems from the decision made by Twitter's board of directors. The most hostile behaviour seems to be the way that this niche group of 10 people with less than 0.25% of a stake of the business have tried to keep their jobs by holding the owners of the business kind of at gunpoint as hostages. So the board of directors is 10 people. They own 0.25% of the business. It just gives you an idea that the board members, do not have a lot of skin in the game. They don't really win a lot when the shares go up or down. So the board of directors tried to block Elon Musk's gaining more control. Elon Musk then offers to buy over 50% of the company. And the shareholders, recognising the fact that their jobs are threatened, then decide to issue a thing called a poison pill. Now, I think most people have done research or understand what the poison pill is, but in case you don't, it's just if Elon Musk tries to buy more shares, it destroys the value of the shares. And only someone without interest in the value of the shares would ever issue something like a poison pill. So the fact is, after issuing the poison pill and not allowing Elon Musk off bid to purchase the company to go to the shareholders, the board of directors have proven that they do not care about the value of the shares. And what's so interesting about this is the board of directors are personally liable to provide the maximum value to the shareholders. So what's going to happen next, if this hadn't have reached the shareholders and they hadn't have voted to accept this offer, is they would have been personally liable for the value of these shares and could be sued by the the shareholders for the amounts of money that the shareholders lost out on. And they would have been sued a lot of money. So actually, I think the board of directors at this point might be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief that the shareholders have managed to get around them and purchase the shares, because I think they were starting to realise how in danger they were if this offer didn't go through. Because even if Elon Musk wasn't able to purchase the company, even if he didn't have the money arranged, the fact that he had made the bid and could potentially do it would be enough for them to be sued for that amount of money. To give a bit of an idea about what the board of directors did, or what they sort of showed, how they sort of showed their true intentions, it would be a bit like you are the renter of a house, and so Elon Musk is a user on Twitter, and so you rent your home and you have a letting agency. They take a commission in return for managing the property for the landlord. However, let's say you managed to save up a decent chunk of money and you were able to get a mortgage to buy your home off the landlord for 20% above market value. Then it would be like you passing that offer onto the letting agency and the letting agency deciding not to give that offer to the landlord, banning the purchase of the house by third parties because the letting agency liked taking commission. Of course, the landlord would be furious if they ever found out about the offer being made. And in this instance, the landlord did find out. The shareholders obviously knew that Elon Musk had put an offer in for the business, and they circumvented their letting agency, and now Elon Musk owns Twitter, and I'm quite excited to see what happens next. Okay, so this has been my sum up. This is why I think it's so interesting. It's made me think more as a value investor about shareholders owning, board of directors owning large quantities of shares. Makes you realise that if you want a board of directors that are getting the maximum value out of the business, not just ego tripping and trying, I think these board of directors like going around saying that they are on the board of Twitter. And so I want shareholders like Tim Cook, board of directors like Tim Cook, who have a real interest in improving the profitability of the business. So that's how I'm going to be using this information in the future. And thank you very much.